Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back, everybody, to the latest episode of the series Unfortunate Events podcast brought to you by who? Still me. Always MeMeCherry. But today I'm joined by another fun, amazing guest, actor, writer, voiceover artist, podcaster, and super awesome person all around, Katherine Heller.
Hi. I wrote that part in my bio officially for super awesome person. Fake it till you make it, folks.
And the crowd goes wild. So you're the host of two fun podcasts, The Struggle Bus and Tell the Bartender. And it's funny, when I was getting my notes together, suddenly I had this thought bubble of like, I could see you hosting like this open hours Zoom bar where like people can just like log on and tell the bartender their apocalyptic stuff.
That's a great idea. Well, it's so funny. Tell the Bartender's on a temporary hiatus because it's my first podcast I started doing ever. I started like 7-8 years ago or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's a storytelling podcast, but I started it because I was really bored as an actor and working at a hedge fund and I wasn't getting enough work. And I was like, what is this podcasting? And I was a huge fan of Keith and the Girl and, all these other podcasts. So, but the production value on it is like 10 hours per episode at least. And then that led me to start my own podcast production company. So I love that I have all this work, and the Struggle Bus, my advice show, that's easier to edit. So it feels like a busman's holiday when I do Tell the Bartender at this point, but like, I love doing it, but I can't commit to something unless I'm 110% into it. So I haven't had the emotional or technical energy to do it yet. But the last few episodes, including Keith and Shamda, who were on one of my last episodes last year. All the episodes, there's a catalog. Enjoy. It will come back. I love doing it. But for now, we're taking a break. But the Struggle Bus is more regular.
Yeah, but for some reason I just thought like, what would be like the COVID version of like Tell the Bartender? So that's why I was like, I think it's just my brain is like melting a few different things. Like for work, I'm like putting together office hours for my boss. And so I was like, what if like Katherine just hosted like open hour Tell the Bartender Zoom time?
Yeah, I was thinking more like, how many times a day can I masturbate during quarantine? That's my new podcast. And the answer is 4.
We're up to 4, or are we down to 4?
I've always been baseline 4. I've always found a time, even during my busiest of days. Is this bathroom free in this office? I don't know. All right. Not even joking. Not even joking.
I mean, I'm gonna plead the fifth on that one. But I loved, in the beginning of quarantine, when you would come on Keith and the Girl, you're always pretty open about, like your Zoom or, FaceTime dating adventures. I want you to fill our listeners in on some of those adventures. And how is COVID dating going along now?
Not so great, Mimi. No, I am meeting some nice people, and I also I've basically been relying on old lovers. So phone sex has been really nice. I have a nice rotation, but it's also, like I said, people I already know, because I just can't really meet new people right now. I've been on a couple Zoom dates, but it's like it's not the same. I'm more of an empath, where I need to feel you in the room. So if I already know you, then I already know what that, vocal tick or facial expression means or whatever.
Yeah.
And then there's sexting. I was just sexting last night with an old sext buddy of mine. You got to do whatever it is to get by. Now, mind you, and I want your listeners to know, a girl's got to get some, but I really do miss being in a relationship. But ultimately, I don't settle for like, I'm not the kind of person who's like, I guess you'll do. Like, I am looking for someone kind of great.
Yeah.
But until then, I'm enjoying time with friends.
Yeah, it's the good old wash, rinse, repeat. I mean, I entered quarantine I had been wash, rinsing, and repeating basically my most recent ex for a while, on and off. Yeah. And finally, I think it was maybe about a month ago, I just got really tired of like, he really stopped putting any effort into it. And
what do you mean?
Like
into the phone sex, or
into anything, like, like he would actually come by and hang out, but like there was like no foreplay, let's just say, right? And so, for
Yeah.
example, like, call me in the morning, right? And so, like, hi, good morning, whatever. Like, are you horny? Are you horny for sex right now? Like, I'm like, can I get a little,
Yeah.
like, and it was feeling a little bit easy pass pussy, kind of like, boy, you need to stop thinking of my pussy like you got an easy pass forward.
It's so
And
funny that you know my middle name because no, I know what you mean though. I've definitely had those experiences where you hook up with a former lover, right? And you kind of miss the passion because part of the thing about the sex, even if it was like dirty and nasty and all that stuff, it's there was the passion behind it. Like at least I'm going to kiss your neck and then
yes,
afterwards we cuddle, like at least
yes,
stay over because I did this so I could also have a cuddle buddy, spoon it out. But so I don't mind being treated like, oh yeah, I'm here for the sex and goodbye. But then there's a part of me where if I had feelings for the person ages ago, I can't pretend that isn't like tiny bit there still, you know?
yeah. And I just started getting like kind of resentful and just over it. But I'm finally feeling mostly over him, which is like motherfucking hurrah.
Yeah.
Pop some bottles level hurrah.
Now, pre-quarantine and pre-COVID and all this stuff, I had one lover that it literally was a, grab and dash because I didn't have feelings for him. I wasn't even attracted to him. He was an attractive dude and he didn't have feelings for me, but we were really good friends. So we could just fuck in a bathroom and then be like, bye. You know what I mean? And that was fun for me because I didn't have feelings for him. And that's how I can do that, you know?
I
But
want
other than
I,
that,
I want to be like the spirit animal that traces you and brings on your traits.
here's a little tip for those out there. Be in the theater arts.
Oh, yes.
That's
Yes.
just a hotbed of sex.
We've heard the stories through Hamda.
Hmm. Yeah. If you want to have sex, either go to a comedy club, they're just giving it away, or
Ew, but sometimes a little aggressively and a little forceful.
oh no, I found that comedians, dude comedians especially, are really great lovers because they were always like, I was a dork and now I'm funny. So they had to learn how to give head really good. They had to learn how to. The best sex I've had has been with comedians, to be honest.
Good to know. Good to
I can't say
know.
best relationships, but best sex.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. Like, that's the thing. Like, I've had lots of really good sex. I just haven't had the like amazing relationships. So I'm trying to like find something in the middle. So yeah, it's been a lot of like self-auditing and trying to like work through stuff. Like, it's why I'm even talking to my father because some of it is like
Really?
daddy is yeah.
What?
Yeah.
How?
Well, it's funny because Omar, like, yeah, and I'm gonna name check you, motherfucker. This podcast kind of started because, like, when I met him, I had been dreaming about it, and like during our whole relationship, I talked about it, but like I hadn't really done it. And then and I remember him telling me one time, like, when are you gonna stop talking about it? Actually do it. When we broke up, I stopped talking about it, and I actually did it. And ooh, he also along the way a couple of times pretty much like in so many words said that I wouldn't work through my daddy issues until I like actually worked through my daddy issues with my daddy.
Hmm.
And I rejected that all along. And yeah, this year I've just been trying to like try different approaches. Like, I know who he is, I know the limitations. He doesn't have my real phone number. He has the Google Voice number. Like, we're still at that level or whatever. And like, I don't have any inclination to go see him. Like, it's not that level, but just kind of like trying to cross stitch a little bit of whatever that deep
Mm-hmm.
unhealed thing is.
It's interesting because I'm estranged from my father. I think
I
you already
know.
know that, right?
Yeah.
So listeners out there, that's a little backstory. And I still always feel this ache and emptiness in my heart, especially when I get out of a relationship and it hits me a little bit more than it should. And my therapist has always been like, it goes back to your dad. It goes back to your dad, but I can't let it go. And I can't reconnect with him because he's actually very, not well, it would make it worse. I've tried, it made it worse. But when we were meditating during OMAT club the other day, Friday's meditation, normally it's hard to get into it and I kind of check out sometimes, but I all of a sudden hit this zone where I just started in every breath, I was taking in happiness and joy and white light. And out every breath, I pushed away my father. And I sort of felt him leaving. And the last breath, because she's like, last one, I took in this like white light and I released it into my heart. And then I didn't want it to be over. I'm like, Hemda, I'm in the zone. Let's make this one 2 minutes. And it sounds, I'm sorry, listeners, I'm very cheesy, but there's an aspect of that it's gonna be hurting you, and you have to wonder how to best heal yourself. So whatever you need to do, I say kudos.
Yeah. I mean, this is the same man that, 10 years ago when we stopped talking, was threatening to tell my grandmother I died of AIDS and that.
What?
Yeah, and like all kinds of like evil shit. But like, my aunt, I started like rebuilding my relationship with my aunt also. So basically, the storms hit Puerto Rico a couple years ago. Things got really bad with my grandfather on my mom's side. He crossed over, and then a few months later, my grandmother on my father's side crossed over. And I felt I have not been in touch with my father's side of the family for years. And
sorry,
so
when you say crossover, you mean came here, not died?
like they died.
Oh, died. Okay, sorry, I wasn't. Okay.
Yeah, they crossed over to the other realm, and they died. And I felt compelled to reach out to my father, my aunt, my cousin, my brother, my sister, because it's like a Puerto Rican thing to give the condolence, right? And like just out of respect, like most basic level of respect. And I started talking to my aunt again, and that's been its own roller coaster, but it's been mostly well. And then, I told my dad that if he wanted a relationship with me, he needed to put some effort into it. He didn't really do it. And then about a month ago, he was reaching out, and I just like rage responded, like, you're not doing enough. You're not doing enough. And he was like, but when I reach out, you don't answer. But mine was like, well, because when I do answer, all you do is talk about yourself. And so like we had kind of like that moment. And then ever since then, it's just been kind of like pleasantries.
Well, that's good. You got to set your boundaries, and you got to say what you need. I think he maybe needs to hear, what does she want, and maybe you need to hear what he's capable of.
Yeah. And like, I feel like I keep him in a box sometimes, assuming what he's capable of.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that I've also maybe approached some of my romantic relationships in that similar way.
Oh, you think?
So, cross stitch. Well, thanks for this mini stop of struggle bus advice.
Anytime. I give out great advice, but I can't take my own. So, happy to get yours. Mimi, what should I do? Give me help.
Es el zapatero que tiene zapatos feos. It's like the shoe cobbler that has, shitty shoes.
Yes.
I mean, Catherine, like to me, I look up to you. I think you're killing it in life. I mean, obviously, you're human and you have your human stuff. And like, I know about some of the human stuff, you know what I mean? But I think you're like an amazing person. So, I mean, that's why I wanted to have you on the podcast anyway.
Well, thank you. And I feel like you're an amazing person. Also, happy anniversary. I believe it was 5 years ago this week. We actually met physically for the first time. We were on tour in San Francisco. And I remember I look at you like you're a celebrity. And I was like, you're MeMeCherry. And you were in the front row. And I remember walking out and being like,
that was Omar. That's who I was with.
That's right. I remember him. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Trouble.
Yeah. Yeah. But, handsome dude.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, let's be honest. We all dated some handsome dudes, but you're just beautiful, and I love you, and I look up to you. So, and for those listening at home, it sounds like
a circle jerk.
Yeah. It sounds like I've got my shit together. Like I say, fake it till you make it. No, things are okay.
Yeah.
But there are some days where I feel, because I do have depression and anxiety, have my entire life, but there are some days where I feel like I'm just barely keeping my head above water, or barely can get out of bed. And that's why I joined, the club also. Is like, I need something to be accountable for, especially during quarantine and COVID, because I had work. At least I had to get up because I had to go to work, or I had to do this recording. And now I'm my own boss, and I'm like the most lenient. I'm the cool boss. I'm the one who's like, you know what? Take the day off. You have unlimited vacation days. You want to work from bed?
Holding the martini glass. I'm a cool boss.
No joke. No joke. Done that. Yeah. But thank you for that. It does mean a lot, because I really do try to like be a good person and, go after all my dreams. But, life is really hard sometimes.
Yeah, and we're living through a multi-layered, traumatic everyday assault to our emotions. That's one of the reasons why I signed up for OMAT. I started a new job. I have to like wake up early for it. But I, kind of like have been trying to do so much that the last couple of weeks, come Friday, I cannot get out of bed in time for OMAT. I'm like, I just need to sleep in a little bit more.
And that's you taking care of you.
Yeah. But then usually it's because like I have like, I'm stacking my Saturdays because I'm trying to like also keep like these things going, because when I got laid off earlier this year due to COVID, I mean, I lasted a good chunk of time, given lockdown to like when I got laid off. But laid off to new job was a lot longer than I thought it was going to be. And so I kicked off Fortunate Rants again with Maddie because I wanted to get art going again, got this fired up again. And I don't like, I'm like almost like white knuckling, wanting to make sure that I keep this going. And so I need to like find some temperance with it all. But yeah, I mean, this is like keeping me alive because it's just, the apocalypse, the apocalypse, the
Yeah.
apocalypse.
And you know what? Honestly, it really does feel that way. And as someone who myself, I'm a catastrophic thinker and have been my entire life. I'm talking to other friends who like also have like my neuroses and anxieties and stuff. And we're like, were we right this entire time? Were we right to be panicking? Because like we're seeing our friends now who have been like skating by through life. Their parents are loaded. Everything's fine. And they're like shaking me over Zoom calls. Like, is everything going to be okay, Catherine? And I'm like, no, no. Everything's not always been okay for a lot of people. It's just the very privileged people now are kind of finally feeling it, of like what it's like for economic anxiety and fear of politics and, the right to your body and racial indifference, like
the climate actually affecting us now.
Climate
like
change. Yeah.
Actually affecting us.
Yeah. So I'm sort of sitting back going, oh, it wasn't just me.
Yeah. And sometimes, and this is kind of like a very OMAT thing, like things are not okay and that's okay.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you make your living in the arts.
Well, I used to.
Yes, but how have you adjusted during COVID? I mean, how?
Well, so I used to do a lot more commercial and voiceover work, and that is coming back, thankfully. Zoom auditions are weird. It's fun, like logging in, the casting director is in bed with their dog, and like no shame, I would do the same thing, But so it's been slow, but that's coming back slowly.
Yeah.
But my theater company was my main thing, and also I have that podcast production company. So thankfully, my clients are, they're still sending me their files, and I edit all day. I'm getting more clients now, which is great. But I really miss doing live theater. So now we're doing I'm in the New York Neo-Futurists, and
yes.
we're a very well-established theater company. And there's 4 versions of our company. The original one's in Chicago. There's one in San Francisco, by the way, and one in New York and one in London. And we've had to pivot from doing live shows every week, 50 weeks out of the year, touring, teaching workshops like that paid, they pay us like it's a real job, right? Like imagine being an actor getting paid. And we also write our own work, and it's very personal stuff. So I had to go from doing that to doing online. So everything now is online. So we have a podcast now called Hit Play, which is our plays online. So if you want to listen, and we're doing weekly live shows. We're doing a Halloween show called the Cyber Wrench. The original show is called the Infinite Wrench. So it's been hard though, because live performance is totally different than podcasting. So for example, I've been podcasting for years, and I auditioned. I've been a big fan of the company for over 20 years. And I finally had the guts to audition 3 years ago because I missed live performance. And so you go from performing live and getting this rush to having to go back to your house and just do Zoom calls and podcasting, which we're adjusting, and it's really exciting.
Yeah.
But I really, really miss live performance. And we just found out, I don't know when this is going to air, we found out that Broadway's not coming back till May of 2021. And I'm very lucky. Like I've always had a side job because I'm not one of those always working actors. Like I definitely have had some great gigs, but I have friends who are on Broadway and off Broadway who literally have never had to work another job in their lives. And, or if they did, it was bartending or waitressing. And they are on unemployment. They don't have anything they can do right now. So I consider myself lucky that I at least had the podcast production business, and I'm not going out. So I'm not spending money on cabs or Metro cards or meals and stuff. So I'm
Yeah.
actually saving money in a weird way, but I'm not making enough, but I'm making enough to scrape by. So
Yeah.
that's it. So that's my very long answer to your very short question.
No, but that's really good. I mean, I'm so curious. Part of my list on my questions is, like, I mean, I hate to put it that way, but it's how the headlines put it, like, is New York dead? And that breaks my heart because I have a lot of artist friends out here in the Bay Area too. But a lot of them amazingly have been able to pivot towards digital drag and stuff like that, and socially distanced shows. But like, I just interviewed a performer that she has to do drag with a shield and a face mask on for
Right.
full protection. So it's just a lot of this, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, no, we've started doing, I mean, I haven't because I'm still like not really into taking the subway. So I'm only going to things and also going to protests as well, by the way, but everything within walking distance for me.
Yeah.
I'm trying to really get out there and be as active as possible. And, but so in Manhattan, especially in some parts of Brooklyn, there've been some outdoor performances. Now there's outdoor stand-up and outdoor musical performances and pop-up theater experiments. As an example, one of the girls in my theater company did this thing during Pride Week where she set up a table and like 2 faraway chairs and 2 glasses of wine and she's like, I haven't dated in a year. And she had 52 stickers for every day, every week out of the year that she wasn't dating. And she goes, socially distanced date me, speed date, socially distanced speed dating. And people would just walk up to her in the park and she would have a speed date. And it was so cute. And it
Oh my God,
actually
I'm gonna do that.
it became such a big thing that she ended up being on the, Kelly Clarkson show and the Today Show. Like, people noticed that and they were like, so no, New York is not dead. We're pivoting. We're trying out some weird, fun things, but it's hard. I mean, it's a change, but in a very strange way, it's a challenge.
Yeah.
So that was a really cool sort of performance art / fun project. And she got a date out of it. So win-win.
Yes. Oh my God. I might actually I don't know. I'm like getting back into my fitness game so I can get like my confidence back. So maybe like once the winter is done and the spring comes out, maybe I'll do something like that. But like I worry, sorry to cut you off, but I worry about the winter. You know what I mean? Like that's like my little worrywart mom side. Like I'm amazed at how people have adapted, but I so worry about the winter.
I'm going to answer that in a second. I feel like I should name check the woman I was talking about.
Yes.
Michaela Farrell. She's an amazing performance artist, writer, performer. Okay. The winter, I agree because, COVID listen, there's a little uptick, and it is an indoor, the indoors are the more dangerous areas. And so I worry too. And I know we all want to gather and then the holidays are coming up. So I don't know how many risks we're all able to take while at the same time not being like so sad in our homes. Depression's definitely gone up a little touch for me.
Yeah, I was gonna ask. I mean, it did for me too. I've been struggling. I've been struggling with anxiety. I've been struggling with my sobriety. But that's why I've been trying to tip the scales as much as possible with good things, so that like the little slip ups that I do, I'm able to like use the good things to check myself. You know what I mean? So like maybe I won't have that extra cocktail because I know I need to wake up in the morning for OMAT. Like that's real. Like those are real moments that I have. I'll make sure to have some green juice and some water before I go to bed because I don't want to feel like shit in the morning because I hate feeling like shit during OMAT. And it spreads out to my work day. You know what I mean?
I'm also trying not to drink myself because it makes the depression worse. Yeah. But at the same time, there's times where it's like, yeah, it's self-medicating because look at where the fuck we are right now. Yeah. I had my first in-person doctor's appointment last week because I just needed a checkup because I did have COVID back in March, it looks like, and I have some side effects and stuff like that. So I just need to get blood work and all blah, blah. I'm doing fine now, but it's just like, you just gotta get your shit checked out.
I mean, you're a little bit of a long-termer.
Yeah. I still have a couple side effects. So I go there and she asked me, when you lie to your doctor about your drinking, you know what I mean? And then she asked me, she's like, have you been drinking? Are you a drinker? And I went, these days, yes. And she's like, well, like how much? And I went, too much. And then for the first time, I was totally honest with her. And she's like, yeah, you need to stop that. And I was like, I know. So I've been not, and it's hard. I mean, I'm able to do it. It's not like it completely wrecks me, but it is this crutch especially when you're like stuck at home watching TV, especially during the elections, especially, and I don't know when this is going to air, but like in general, the political atmosphere is,
Yeah. It'll be up before the election because yeah,
the
because
election's not going to be over for another few months anyway, let's be honest.
no, and yeah, I'm actually really excited about how many shows I have in the can, and because I don't want them to go too stale, I think for the next couple of weeks I might do like double release weeks.
Nice.
I've been trying to do at least once a week, but I'm like, hey, I have enough content for twice a week. Hey,
that's awesome. Well, your show's great. I've been listening to it. So
thank you. Oh, now I cry. Where's my fan? Well, I think this is good enough for the Barbara Walters part of the show.
Oh, shucks.
Now we go into the Andy Cohen.
Yes.
Bring on the games. So I have a few games for you. I actually figured we could do a classic go to bed wig, and we're going to do a political edition. But then I made up a new game for you, and then we'll do the speed round.
Okay, sounds good.
Awesome. So go to bed wig. Basically, I'm going to name somebody off in the political sphere. Classic Nene Leakes, Bravo, Watch What Happens Live line from way back in the beginning, telling Kim Zolciak, go to bed wig. It's basically go away. And the opposite is come to the party, or whatever you want to make of it.
Let's have a kiki.
Yes. So go to bed wig, political edition.
So that's when they're bad, right?
Yes, exactly.
Right. Here we go.
AOC, aka Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Come into my house right now.
You can keep your shoes on. They can go on the sofa. That's fine.
I don't care. You don't have to wear a mask. Come on in.
What about good old Ted Cruz?
Oh, go the fuck to bed, wig.
With your bad wig.
With your bad wig. And that beard. Oh, God.
Oh, I still can't get over how many of them just really flipped. Like, he called your wife like an ugly toad.
He called your dad a murderer.
Yes.
Your dad killed JFK. I'm like, what? And then whenever they bring that up on the news, he just laughs, that awkward Republican, like, we're fucked laugh. Like, you're just trying to bait and switch me. No, he called your wife ugly.
Yeah.
You were there.
Yeah. What about good old Pete Buttigieg?
Wait, who? Oh, Pete Buttigieg? You know what? He can come over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have some tea.
He's been a little shady on the news lately. He's sort of being a surrogate for Biden Harris, and he's been like stunting Fox News. He it's great. And like he's a very shady. I like it.
Yeah, and actually he's actually showing the benefit of, so I remember like earlier this year or last year, like for example on The View, you know, they think that people should not go on Fox News, right? Like our side shouldn't go on that side. But Pete was one of those that, you know, regularly visited Fox News, and I think he basically built up the cred now along the way to be able to tell them to their face what he's telling them with a smile, and they're just gonna have to take it.
Did you see when he made them the anchor speechless? Did you see that clip? Holy shit.
Yeah.
I was like, would you like a little solve with that burn?
Yes. Well, speaking of burns, Miss COVID positive White House spokesperson Kayleigh McEnany.
Go to bed wig. I knew what you were going to say.
What about our good old soft Steve Madden Timberland Kamala Harris wearing, because you know she wore the fancy Tims, not the real
Tims. Yeah, come to the party.
Which your fancy expensive Tims.
Yes, you are welcome.
What about, and this one's interesting because I'm curious what people outside of California think of good old Nancy Pelosi.
Come to the party, and here's why. She is consistent. She is always who she said she was. I don't always agree with her, but I think I disagree with but she knows how to negotiate. Yes. And she's pretty good at it, but she's not going to lie to you. And that's the thing I like about her is like, I can disagree with you. Like, we shouldn't see our politicians as deities.
Yes.
They work for us. We should be giving them notes and, protesting and letting them know what we want. But she listens. She actually listened to AOC.
Yes.
When they had a little standoff. So I like her. She can come to the party.
What about possible demon from beyond wearing a skin suit, Mike Pence?
Go to bed, wig, and
You know,
I'll take the fly. Give me the fly. I want it as a pet. I will let it roam free. Don't worry about it.
what about claims to be sober, but we no, he's not, and now he's super high on steroids, Trumpito.
Oh my God. Go the fuck to bed, wig.
With your bad wig.
With your bad wig. Oh my God. I can't even. Can you
And
imagine if I said come to the party? Would you be like, we're cut?
I would have just thought that it was part of your new one-woman show.
Oh, hilarious. Yeah.
And what about, and I think I've been quoting you, was it you that said, I can't wait for Joe Biden to get elected so that we can protest him?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm big on that.
So yeah, what about good old Joe Biden?
You know, he can come to the party and then I'll give him a talking to.
Nice. Yes. Just make
Yeah,
sure that he doesn't like touch.
Oh, he will. I'm already resigned to that. Yeah, no, I mean, listen, I'm not riding for Biden, but I'm definitely voting for him because he is at least a reasonable person who will listen. And he too has pivoted his views on a lot of things because of the Overton window, because Bernie and AOC and all, he saw the progressiveness and he finally was like, okay, so you just got to keep, they work for us, right? We need to be more vocal as, like, we can't just, you know, hire someone and be like, you work in the you know, electrical room and let's hope everything goes okay. No,
Exactly.
no, they need supervision.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let's go to bed, wig. So the game that I pulled out of my little rabbit hat this morning.
So excited.
Which apocalyptic movie would you rather be living in? I'm going to name off 2 movies. You tell me which movie you'd rather be living in versus reality now.
Oh, versus reality now. Oh, can I say reality now as an answer?
I mean,
oh no, sorry, I have to pick a movie. Sorry,
you're
okay.
Picking one of the 2 that you would
movies.
That you would rather have versus, you know, because I feel like we're living an apocalyptic movie right now.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, I Am Legend versus Mad Max. Which apocalyptic movie would you rather?
Well, the dog dies in I Am Legend, right? But Mad Max is pretty gross too. I guess I Am Legend, and I'll try to save the dog.
Okay, sounds good. What about 12 Monkeys versus Armageddon?
Armageddon.
You were so quick.
Because I don't want to miss a thing.
This Is the End versus Waterworld. I made her laugh.
Waterworld. I don't know why, just Waterworld.
And that's one of the ones that when I say, which apocalyptic movie are we living in the beginning of? I always say Waterworld meets Hunger Games. That's my choice.
Yes.
Speaking of Hunger Games versus Titanic.
Wow. Hunger Games. Because they would never choose me to fight because I'm in my 40s. So.
And I feel like at least there's a slim chance the boat's going down.
Yeah, I'd probably get on somehow. I don't know. Who cares? Did you ever play that game, like, what would I do if I was on the Titanic?
No.
And you knew you were going down? I would go to the brandy area and I would just chug and I would die of alcohol poisoning before I went down.
Yeah, or at least you're warm enough that you don't feel the hypothermia that takes you down.
Yeah, everything's fine. It's a big deal. It's about.
Yeah. Wall-E versus Snowpiercer.
Wall-E. Yes. 100%.
And the last one, The Matrix versus V for Vendetta.
Matrix.
Yeah, I think so too. Good choices.
Thank you. That's a great game. I was hoping you'd say Cloverfield because I would have chosen that 1,000%.
The list was so many, and I was like, all right, let's just make it nice and snappy. We can't get too crazy with it.
I watched Cloverfield recently just to calm down. I was like, oh, this is nice fiction. Oh, man. Remember when it was fiction?
It's like your Baba.
Kind of. Yeah, I got a little stoned, and I was like, oh.
Aw,
it's just a monster.
Yeah, I feel like lately my kind of like security blanket movie has been the classic Willy Wonka.
Oh, that's great. Because obviously the new one is like, I haven't even seen it.
Have you?
No.
Have you heard the theory that Snowpiercer is basically Willy Wonka's world, but in the future, and that basically the kid that inherited everything is the guy at the head of the train?
Charlie?
Uh-huh.
What a
And
dick.
yes, and then like and then some of the characters are like the characters that are like the evil ones along the way. There's a whole YouTube breakdown. Get into it. It's so
Okay.
good.
I know what I'm doing later today.
Yes. Literally like just YouTube search Willy Wonka Snowpiercer. You'll find it.
I'm sure I That's fascinating.
It's so good. It's so
Well,
good.
you got to wonder about all these artists, like if they get inspired as kids by other movies and stuff. Because as an artist, you're not like stealing things, but you get inspired by it, right? And like
Yes,
they
yes,
stick
yes.
in the back of your head, and like you kind of remember just, I don't know. That's awesome. That's really interesting.
Yeah, it's really interesting. All
Also,
right.
yes. I was gonna say Team Farouk Assault. I don't care what you say. Did you hear the story about how she actually should have won the competition in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory?
I need to hear.
Well, I don't want to like misquote it, and I'm pretty sure it was Veruca Salt. They're like, she's a young woman who asserts herself, says what she wants, she's organized, she's the most like knowledgeable one of the group, but he still gives it to Charlie because it's a boy as opposed to a girl. I'm just saying. You may want to look it up. I could be wrong. It could have been the other one, Violet. But I'm pretty sure it's Veruca Salt.
Well, Violet is the one who was more kind of like, I could see being considered brainy, because Veruca was just, but she was, yes, outspoken, but she was kind of like the brat.
You know, maybe it was the other one. Well, we'll just look it up. Yeah.
Yeah, I could see it being Violet though, because like, what does she do? Eat some gum? You, because that could be the argument. She ate the gum, which in theory was breaking the rules. He drank the soda pop, which was breaking the rules. And like, so in theory.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Okay, I can see that.
Okay, you're right. It is the other one. Yeah.
It has legs. It has legs.
Yeah.
Well, we have come to almost the end of the silly little show that is SOFE Pod, aka Series of Fortunate Events. And in every podcast, we play speed round. So how long does it take you to prepare for a performance, a show, a gig?
You mean like makeup or actually prepare for?
In general.
If I'm doing the show that we did at the theater, it would be at least 14 hours per week at least.
Okay.
Yeah. And rehearsals and writing and rehearsing and memorizing and all that stuff.
Okay, perfect. What would you say fans of the theater, the performance art, or podcasting, what's something that they should keep in mind when engaging with you as a performer?
Just know that like, you know, if you want to say hi after the show, you totally can. You know, I love talking to people, and but also just understand if I'm like, okay, I gotta go, like that means I gotta go. And no offense, it's like, you know, that's it. But like definitely come up to me. I love talking to people because I don't see myself as like superior to my audience. In my case, I actually look up to the audience. I'm like, you came to see me, so like I want to talk to you. I want to know about you. I want to know what you thought of the show, and you know, I want to get to know you. So I also want to say that don't think that actors think they're better than the audience. Some of them do, but most of us don't. Most of us are very humble and humbled that you come.
Yeah, for sure.
Like you left the house to see me. That's amazing.
Tip for a baby performer / baby podcaster.
Trust your gut. And don't say, I hate the sound of my voice or I hate instead what I did is I always would listen back to my own shows and give myself notes. And by that, I mean, oh, I say this too many times versus also, oh, that's something you do really well.
Yeah.
Or, oh, I speak too quickly versus, oh, I did much better this week. And I also, and still up until the very weekend we stopped performing, and I've been performing on stage for over 25 years, if I have the chance, record the performance for archival purposes, but I force myself to watch the show back because we have directors and we have, you know, we self-direct and all these things, but I like to know that's what I did well and get proud of myself and also say, and that's where I should have spoken louder or I should have moved quicker during that scene or something like that. So I always say, listen back to yourself. Even if you quote unquote hate your voice, you'll learn to love it. And if you have the chance to record your performances, always watch them back and give yourself notes because if you ask people for notes, everyone's got a different opinion. One person will say, oh, I love this part. Another person will say, everyone's got their thing. You got to just trust what you know you do well.
Yeah.
And be really raw and honest with yourself, but
Mhm.
that'll help you build the genuine confidence to get up there and be like, I know I did this well, or I'm always improving. And you're never going to get it fully right. I'm still a work in progress.
Yes, that is so like +1 all around on everything you just said.
Yeah.
Favorite podcaster besides your co-host?
Oh, I mean, it's tough. I love Keith and the Girl, obviously. I love John and Molly Neffel from Radio Dispatch. They're the ones who also helped me launch my podcast. Favorite podcaster. I don't know. It's tough to say. I say Keith and the Girl.
Yeah, that's a good list. That's a good list. A tip, performance, something you've learned along the way in these art forms that the everyday person can apply to their life, quote unquote, everyday person.
Fake it till you make it. I'm not joking. There's times where I walk into an audition room and I'm like, I'm not qualified to be here, but let's pretend that I am. And I say that on a date. I say that on like when I walk into a job interview. I just walk in and I find my inner white boy, you know, and I just walk in with my shoulders back and confident and be like, hello. In fact, I do have an inner white boy. His name's Cameron, and he wears a polo sweater around his, neck like that. And if you think about it, like when you're raised with this privilege and like, yeah, I'm fine, it just changes the way you walk and the way you move. And then all of a sudden you sort of, I don't want to say turn into that person, but all I'm saying is call me Cameron. No, I'm saying it does trick your mind, kind of like getting sober, kind of like all these things. Like it does shift something in your brain that makes you be like, I am good enough, so yeah, it's a very shitty thing to say, fake it till you make it, but there's something to be said for that.
Yeah. I think you can start to emulate an essence that I think can maybe get you halfway there. Can
I confess something to you and
Go
everyone
ahead.
else listening? I was nervous before recording with you. I always get nervous before I record anything. I had the jitters. I was like fixing my apartment and my ankle, and I was like, do I have enough makeup on? And then I was like kind of shaking a little bit, and I was like, I still get nervous, and I think that's good. I think when you waltz into something and you're like, I'm gonna nail it, it's like, really, are you? So
I agree. I had nervous tummy. Like I get like nervous tummy. I get, I might mess up a little bit along the way, along the show, but like you just keep it moving.
Oh, I had butterflies. I was like, oh my God.
Well, we are almost at the end. A final question. Favorite gift that you've received from a fan?
Oh, okay. This is so weird. I did a play in the New Futurist where I played, it's called Therapy with Katherine, where I had someone come up and I had like a little therapist thing. And I was like, why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself? And what I would do is when I gave them advice at the end, I would secretly record it on my phone. And then I would say, give me your email address. And I would say, I'm going to email you this advice. And you listen to it whenever you're feeling weird, right? So a year after, this girl comes to the show and she's like, can I take my picture with you? And I was like, I recognize you. And she's like, I just want you to know. And she put this up on Instagram. And that to me was a gift. She's like, when I moved, I listened to Katherine's messages every night. And she's like, and then it like changed everything. And now I want to just thank her. So I started sobbing. And I know it sounds like I'm just like, look at how great I am. But like that to me was a gift, an emotional gift of like that she remembered and came back and then posted about it. And I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional just thinking about it. Like
too. It
was such a sweet, kind thing for her to come back to the city that she just left to say hi and thank you. So that and a brick of hash. I once got a brick of hash after her.
Oh, when you started to say brick, I thought it was something else.
Oh, what did you think it was?
We'll leave that for the after hours.
Hello.
Katherine, you're a dream, you're a doll. Where can they find you on the social medias and whatnot?
Oh, I'm at SPK Heller. That stands for Special K. That was my nickname in college. Cereal, not drug. SPK Heller on Instagram, Twitter. You can go onto KATHARINEHELLER.com to see a website I've not updated ever. I'm on Facebook. I haven't updated in a couple of years because, pandemic. But yeah, Instagram and Twitter, I'm bigger on.
I can hear Keith Malley in my head, like, the pandemic hasn't been 2 years, right?
Yeah, well, Keith, what What they just reported on is that it was here longer than we thought it was. So that's breaking news right here on SOFE.
You are amazing. Everybody, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's a little tiny little baby plant. And it needs...
Listen to the struggle bus too.
Yes.
Sorry. Yeah, you should go back to your promo.
No. You keep doing your promo.
No, I'm done. I forgot to say struggle bus. Listen to that. After you listen to all the episodes of SOFE, then start listening to struggle bus.
Ooh, how about this? Do like a little peanut butter and jelly. Listen to one, then the other. Ooh. Then you dance with both of us through the night.
Yeah, is that a threesome or something? I don't know. Podsome?
Yeah. Oh my God, I wish I could hug you right now.
I miss you. I wish I could hug anybody right now.
I know, me too. Ooh, actually, she is way too curled up. I'm not gonna bother her. I was gonna hug her for you, her as in honey. But everybody, thank you for listening. Please follow all the links, click all the likes, click all the hearts, do all the things. Take care of yourself. This will come out before the election, so please get out, vote, get your voice heard. If you can vote early, vote safely. If anybody tries to intimidate you at the polls, kindly tell them to move aside, take a picture of them. The FBI will be on alert from now through the election for anybody who is trying to impede elections.
Is that true?
So very kindly take their picture, tell them to step aside, and report them to the FBI.
Wow.
So that's your tip for today, children.
Thank you, Mimi. Thank you so much for having me. Love you so much.
And that's it, everybody. Bye.
MeMeCherry presents a series of fortunate events. Fortunate events. Fortunate events. A series of fortunate events.